The room froze the moment the boy raised his hand, a small motion that cut through decades of certainty like a blade through ice. He was 10, too short for the chalkboard without a chair, wearing a threadbare hoodie that still smelled faintly of the bus ride from the south side of Chicago. The equations on the wall were older than his parents' marriage, debated, revised, and shelved by professors who had built careers on not solving them. Laughter hovered in the air, polite at first, then sharp. This was an elite competition, the kind with polished floors and polished smiles, and no one expected a black schoolboy to interrupt a ritual meant for men who had already decided how the story would end. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of potential, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this exist because people choose to notice them. He had arrived that morning with his aunt, clutching a folder of scribbled notes that looked like a child's drawings to everyone else. The security desk had paused too long on his name badge. A volunteer had pointed him toward the back rows. He had learned early how to read rooms, how to make himself smaller when eyes weighed him down. School had taught him to finish worksheets early and wait. Life had taught him that waiting did not always lead to being seen. His mother worked nights at a hospital and mornings at a bakery, leaving him with books and a promise that numbers would always tell the truth if he listened closely enough. In their apartment, the radiator clicked like a metronome, and he learned patterns in the sound, sequences in the hiss of steam, proofs in the way heat moved from cold to warm. The competition was supposed to be fair, but fairness has a way of bending under assumptions. When he approached the registration table, a man in a tailored suit asked if he was lost. When he sat, someone behind him whispered that the kids' event was in another building. He did not look back. He watched the board instead, the way the chalk dust settled into grooves carved by arguments that never quite reached the end. 32 years. That was the number that mattered. 32 years of debate over a conjecture that refused to yield, a problem that had become a gatekeeper to prestige. It was not that no one had tried. It was that trying had become a performance, and performances need audiences that clap at the right times. As the rounds narrowed, the temperature in the hall rose. Coffee cups multiplied. Jackets came off. The boy's pencil wore down to a nub as he filled margins with arrows and loops. He did not see the problem as a wall but as a river, something you could cross by finding stones placed just beneath the surface. When the final challenge was revealed, a murmur rolled through the room. Some smiled because they recognized it. Some frowned because they recognized it too well. The boy felt the familiar tightening in his chest, the moment before doubt tries to take the wheel. He remembered his mother's voice at dawn, reminding him to breathe and to trust the work he had already done. They gave him a chair when he reached the front, an afterthought that drew another ripple of amusement. From that height, the chalkboard seemed less intimidating, more like a map. He placed his notes on the ledge and began, not with bravado, but with care. Each line followed the last like footsteps in fresh snow, precise and reversible. He did not rush. He did not perform. He worked. The room shifted as minutes passed. Phones slid back into pockets. Pens stopped clicking. The old arguments, rehearsed and heavy, found no purchase here. He reframed the problem by changing what counted as fixed and what could move, by seeing symmetry where others saw clutter. He borrowed nothing that could not be returned. He built a bridge with materials everyone had ignored because they were too simple to be impressive. Pressure thickened, not on him, but on the air around the observers. Egos bristled as the chalk traced a path that refused to collapse. When he stepped down, the board held something new, a solution that did not announce itself, that asked to be followed slowly. Verification began, quiet at first, then urgent. A professor erased a line and put it back. Another checked a boundary case and nodded despite himself. Time stretched. The boy stood with his hands folded, eyes on the floor, waiting as he always had, not because he doubted, but because patience had become a second language. Confirmation did not arrive with applause. It arrived with silence, the kind that means the ground has shifted. A solution that had lived in a child's notebooks now lived on a wall where reputations were made. The mocking smiles thinned. The whispers stopped. In that stillness, the boy felt something unfamiliar and warm, not pride exactly, but relief, as if a door he had been knocking on had finally opened inward. He thought of Chicago, of the bus routes, of his mother's tired hands, of how numbers had kept him company when people could not. Before the end, leave a comment sharing what moment stayed with you the most. Your words matter, and they help stories like this reach the people who need them. The aftermath was messy, human. Some congratulated him with eyes that asked questions they were not ready to hear. Others retreated, already rewriting their memories. The boy returned the chair to its place and gathered his notes. He did not need the spotlight to last. He needed it to be honest. Outside, the city hummed, indifferent and alive. A future opened that would include mentors and resources and challenges of a different scale, but the lesson that mattered had already landed. Genius is not loud. It is patient. It grows wherever curiosity is fed, even in rooms that do not expect it. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you to look again at the people we overlook, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement turns quiet victories into shared hope, and shared hope into change.